Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Chidi. I'm a Nigerian. So in today's video, I want to do a continuation of the story about whatever that has happened to my mother. So I have chosen this particular environment outside the comfort of my home to do this recording. This is a very quiet area. The weather is good, and it's so peaceful and quiet here, except for the occasional sound of the birds. So today I want to do a continuation of the story about what happened, how my mom fell sick, man-made. So it began at the time that I finished my secondary school and was doing some part-time job at the post office where my dad works. So at that time, I was staying alone with my dad because my senior brother left, and my junior brother also left. So I was just in between, the only one among the children that stayed at home with our dad and mom. So my dad was not at home. I was on the table one evening. It was at about 8 o'clock in the evening. So I was seated by the table doing some things on the table, and my mom has already finished whatever she was doing, and was also relaxing on the bed. So this was a small room that was not up to 3 square meters wide. So the room was so small. There was a curtain which my dad has used to make a kind of demarcation from the area where my mom sleeps in the bed, and the other side of the room was left for me and my kid brothers and sisters. So, and the area that was contained with our where my mom sleeps was also not big, because the bed was also not so big because of the size of the room. We were just managing. So my brother left, the senior one left to Italy. After he vacated, he ran away from home. The junior one also ran away from home. So the senior one, from where he went, staying with his friends in order to avoid responsibilities. Because this was, I really want to explain clearly that my father's intention were, because I think somehow I will not blame my dad. I sympathize with him, and that was what actually made me to stay put. Because I don't think it is appropriate for anybody to disrespect parents. The evacuation of 2 of his children was a very, to me, I think it was a slap on my father's face, because it happened at the time that our father needed support, needed help from his children, especially those he invested everything he had with my mom. They are putting all what they had to be able to make sure that they train these children out. So when they left, it was like a stab on the back. So I took sympathy. I decided to stay put with him no matter what, though I didn't have any other place to go. I didn't have I was not so much inclined in having friends that might want to ask me over to stay with them and all those kind of a thing. I stayed with my parents. So on that evening, it was about 8 o'clock, and my mom was already, she finished what she was doing and was also relaxing on the bed, lifted the curtain halfway, and was seeing what I was doing. I mean, the curtain that was used to demarcate the area where her bed was. So, and then my kid brothers, because I had other my other siblings were already spreading the mat on the floor where they could sleep. Because I had that time, Stella was there, Joe was there, then Chijoke was there, and Ike. 4 of them, you can imagine. 4 children on the floor. And our senior brother, whatever made him to return back from Italy, he didn't spend 12 months in Italy. In fact, like as I want to say, the only conviction, because people might go to maybe Cotonou, go to Ghana, go to any other place, try to do one other things, and then claim that they have gone abroad or they went to America and whatever. But I got convinced that he actually went to Italy because of the cassette which I recorded our mother's voice of greeting and encouragement to her son who was in Italy. So I recorded it, and I took it by hand and went to the airport post office and posted it with the address that my senior brother gave. And then he came back and they played that cassette to my hearing, and that was the only conviction that he actually stepped out of Nigeria, or that, I mean, it was true that he went to Italy, because I had that cassette again. Apart from that, there was nothing to convince me that he traveled abroad, and maybe some other pictures and the photos that was taken somewhere in Europe. So he came back with nothing. And with what I know about Europe, anybody who could have spent not up to 12 months before he came back must have not even stayed to understand the country where he has just tried to step in to begin to hustle. He has nothing to know about that country, so 12 months was not enough. When I came to Finland, 12 months was not sufficient for me to understand if I want to stay or not. So when he came back empty-handed with nothing. And there was nothing from him to say, Papa, please take this money, use it to pay for 1 or 2 months rent, or use this money, put it in your bank, and then from there you can be able to continue the maintenance of the family. Nothing was from him. Our lives in the family was the same. So when he returned, it was expected that he was living at the Apapa, where he was staying with his friends, because the petroleum firm where he was working was somewhere at Apapa. So if he went to Apapa to stay, it was understandable. But when he returned from Italy, it was expected that he should go back to Apapa, because that room where my dad was staying was not the kind of size of a house that a son who did not invest in that particular room left to Italy, returned back, and then coming back to come and spend the night. So I never knew that he had concealed some dangerous plans. So that night, our mom was getting ready to sleep. I was doing some things on the table, and he just came. My senior brother came. So when he came, he went and lay on my bed. I was like, hey guy, what are you doing on my bed? Why don't you go to where you're staying? And then he left Apapa. Apapa is about maybe something of about 15 kilometers from Itire, where we live. 15 kilometers. So he took a refuge behind my father's street. and now staying at Smith. That street is called Smith Street. So he was staying at Smith Street. I never know that the purpose of staying at Smith Street was to lay siege, to monitor the shift, because my dad was, during his days at work, he works morning, sometimes night, sometimes afternoon, different kind of shift. But because of the situation at that time, my dad was able to combine so many shifts to be able to make more money. So he was staying there, monitoring to know what shift my dad was. So that day my dad was on night shift to return in the morning. So this guy came and decided to take my position of sleeping. So I told him, why don't you go to your place you stay in and then leave my bed for me? We began to argue, and then our mom, like a peaceful woman, you know, that she intervened and they said to me, hey Chidi, why don't you leave him? He's your senior brother. If he wants to sleep with us, why don't you let him just be? You can manage. I told my mom that, hey, the floor is already filled, so where am I going to stay? Why don't he go to where he normally sleeps? My mom, I listened to my mom, I respect my mom, and then I listened to her. So I decided to, when I finished what I left this guy to sleep on the bed. He was not sleeping, he was just waiting for me to see when I will stop whatever I was doing and then to go to bed or go to the floor to sleep. So when I finished what I began started to feel sleepy. I went to the place where my other siblings were. Their legs and their hands were all over the place. I threw their hands, shifted them somehow, and they managed those that fold their legs, I straightened them. I put their legs straight to be able to create more space for me to lie down. So I lay myself down, managed to have a very small place to squeeze myself in to sleep. And then I started to sleep. And then sometime I begin to, when I reason about these things, I begin to look at God. This was my mother from Oshindero Street, where we lived, to SS Munumba Catholic Church in Lawansin. I think it was about 6 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. It was far away. And then on Sundays we had to go by foot. We couldn't afford money for transportation. We had to walk along Lawansin Road up till where the Catholic Church is. That church still exists today, SS Munumba Catholic Church. So we had to walk all the way there. My mom will take her children, all of us will go, except those ones that are now satanic. So I know my mom to be very, very God-fearing. My dad was supposed to be a reverend father, but as a lonely son, his mother encouraged him to take up a wife and have children. So my dad was very godly. My mom Otu was very, very godly. So they dedicated their lives to God. And sometimes I begin to wonder, because the Bible said there is a verse in one of the Psalms that says, "Seek ye the Lord when you can find him." This has made it obvious for me to understand that it is clear that there is a time that we are calling unto God, and that is not where God is. God is not available at that time. Because I see no reason why my mother should be a victim of such kind of attack. You know, why something like that should happen to a woman that is very, very submissive to God. Why is it that certain time God just wants to see things happen? God wants to see how his own children go through ugly ordeals. Why did God allow this kind of a thing to happen? Why did God not just allow my father to walk in? and say, oh, I lost my job today, I'm no more doing my job. He come back home and then begin to sleep. Why did God not ask me to, hey, Chidi, don't sleep this night. Stay up and continue to do your job. Do something. Somebody has brought a radio, go up and begin. If I had continued doing something, nothing, I would have been able to save my mother. So this guy came, and when I finished what I was doing, I lay down to sleep. And I woke up in the morning, I looked on the bed, he was not there, he was gone. I rolled up to the bed and took my position back on the bed. Few minutes later, my dad returned from work. I never bothered to tell my dad that, hey, Mike was here. He spent the night with us, and then he left. So when he left, he has taken whatever he wanted. He came for a purpose. He came with a mission that day. So few days later, my mom began to talk like, oh my God. I was like, Mama, what is all this? Mama, what is all this? Mama, Mama, what is all this? What is going on? My mom began to talk like incoherently. I was, oh shit, what is going on? Before I knew what was happening, people in the street, everybody has begun to know that our mom was not okay. And this was a woman that was, before somebody could be a sewing mistress and them doing her job, people were bringing clothes, bring new textile materials, old ones to be patched, everything. My mom was for a woman to be doing that kind of a job, that she was cautious enough to identify the eye of a needle, to put in the thread and then make sure that the stitches are correct. Then she must be very seen to be able to do that kind of a job, for God's sake. So few days later, my mom has become somebody that was naked. She removed her cloth, put it away, go to our neighbor's house, picking something from the dustbin and started eating. And then people were calling me here and there, and my goodness. Oh man, that was so bad. My mom became a mad woman in the street, number 20 Oshindero Street, Itire. Everybody began to gather to console my dad. People were bringing suggestions here and there of what should be done. The first thing was to make sure that I keep my mom in the house. I don't let her go out, because people have seen my mother's nakedness, my prestige and my dignity, that of my father. Yes. And then for this guy who supposed to be a senior brother, God, anything that people do in darkness, you close the door, close the windows, switch off the lights, and think that nobody have seen you. Those who perpetrate evil in the closeness of the rooms, draw the curtains, switch off the lights, you think that nobody has seen you. God Almighty is watching from the skies. From heaven, God is looking, and God sees everything that human being does secretly. There's no secret. The sun is shining right now. There is nothing that is hidden under this sun which the sun cannot see. And that is the eyes of the Lord. My mother became a mad woman whom we now have to be holding her to prevent her from preventing her from taking off her clothes. I have to stay put inside the room, lock up the door, make sure that I don't allow her to step out. Even if she has to be naked, she has to be naked there with me. I have the guilt of seeing my mother's nakedness even before my other brothers, because I was the one that was grabbing my mother here and there. May God forgive us. I'll take this story from here. Thank you for listening.